Digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. All right, folks, let's do a deconstruction of the GOP. And, of course, the mouthpiece, Candace Owens. Today on Capitol Hill, there was a hearing that was titled House Oversight Joint Subcommittee Hearing on Confronting White Supremacy. They had 3 experts and 1 black person. When I say experts, they actually had real experts on the subject of white supremacy and white nationalism. Now, questions were asked by Republicans and Democrats of the 4 witnesses. Now, what I'm unpacking right here, and here's a piece, and let's just be real clear. Y'all remember what I said the other day about the Revolt Summit that took place, why I said it makes no sense to have a Candace Owens or Katrina Pearson on that panel. Why? Because they're not real black conservatives. Let me be real clear. They're not real black conservatives. I know real black conservatives, okay? Chris Metzler, real black conservative. Shermichael Singleton, real black conservative. Elroy Saylor, Angela Saylor, Kay Cole James, Derek Holley, Robert Pignon. I can go on and on and on. I can name you numerous folks who I know personally, okay, who are real black conservatives. These 2, they're not. You know what they are? Charlatans. They're frauds. What they desire is attention. So what they do is they say crazy, provocative things solely for the purpose of getting that attention. Go to my iPad. Here's a perfect example, okay? I typed in House Panel on White Supremacy. These are the 2 headlines. You all see the 2 headlines? One from Yahoo News, one from The Hill. Candace Owens, the House Panel, white supremacy and white nationalism is not a problem. The Hill, Candace Owens tells Congress white nationalism not a problem for minorities in the U.S. If you actually click on the Hill story, what you will see is you will see an article that only quotes Candace Owens. That, folks, is by design. That's exactly what she wants. What she desires is attention. She wants folks talking about her. It's a money grab. It's all about how can I build my following and convince these dumb, illiterate conservatives to keep throwing money at me and I can get paid. Now, Mark Lamont Hill was tweeting today, critical of something that she said, and this gentleman, Adam Badawi, tweeted back. Go to my iPad, please. This is what he said. I was there. She wasn't mentioned on the list of witnesses beforehand, nor was she receiving questions because she has literally no expertise on the subject. Later in the hearing, Republicans started ceding their time to her to let her spout. Do y'all hear me? So you had 3 real experts. What this guy's saying is they purposely kept her name off of the list. Why? Because the Republicans did not want today's hearing to be about white nationalism or white supremacy. What they desired is for Candace to come there, be a train wreck, completely take the focus off of the issue, attack Democrats, and bring up all these other issues for her that are more important than in Black America. If you want to laugh, here's her opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity to testify. I want to testify just as a Black American today. And I want to first start off by saying that white supremacy is indeed real, but despite the media's obsessive coverage of
there. Matter of fact, roll that back. Roll that back. Y'all, she starts off by saying, I'm here as a black person. So essentially what she's saying is, hell, if we're going to discuss white nationalism and white supremacy, anybody black can come here and testify. You don't actually have to have any expertise to actually do that. No. Here are the people who were invited. First of all, one panel is Kathleen Ballou, an expert from Stanford University. Another one is Joshua Getzler from Georgetown University. Katrina Mulligan, National Security and International Policy at the Center for American Progress. The fourth one is Candace Owens, college dropout. Play it again. You're going to hear her say what her expertise is on this subject.
Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity to testify. I want to testify just as a black American today, and I want to first start off by saying that white supremacy is indeed real, but despite the media's obsessive coverage of it, it represents an isolated, uncoordinated, and fringe occurrence within America. It's a fringe occurrence that is being used, in my opinion, by Democrats to scare Americans into giving up their votes to a party that can no longer win based on simple ideas, which is why we're seeing so many of these hearings back to back, despite other threats that are facing this nation. I want to reiterate that point.
Okay, yeah, it's an issue, but it's really not among the top issues. This is college dropout Candace Owens providing expert testimony on white nationalism and white supremacy. This, folks, is a hearing that took place in July where Christopher Wray, the director of the Federal Bureau for Investigation, testified about the serious threat about white nationalism and white supremacy in the United States. Press play.
Between the years 2000 and 2016, the white supremacists were responsible for more homicides than any other domestic extremism movement. Now, I see the distinction you're making, homegrown versus domestic. But let me ask you, can you quantify either one of them for us?
Well, in terms of number of arrests, we have, through the third quarter of this fiscal year, had about, give or take, 100 arrests in the international terrorism side, which includes the homegrown violent extremism.
This year?
This year. But we've also had just about the same number, again, don't quote me to the exact digit, on the domestic terrorism side. And I will say that a majority of the domestic terrorism cases that we've investigated are motivated by some version of what you might call white supremacist violence, but it includes other things as well. I think the greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violent extremist. I will say that
These
we
would be
take
foreign-inspired,
which is jihadist-inspired violence. That does not mean, by any stretch of the imagination, that we don't take domestic terrorism, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology, extremely seriously.
Okay, so I want to go back to the nonsense Candace was spewing. I want y'all to pick up where we left off, because I want to put this in proper perspective for you. That was the director of the FBI testifying to the Senate in July of this year. Go ahead and play Clueless Candace.
Is real, but neither of these ideologies are real in this room. They have become mechanisms for the left to continue to call these hearings and to distract from much bigger issues that are facing this country and which threaten minorities. Much bigger issues. Here is the FBI Director, Christopher Wray, in March, laying out the persistent and pervasive threat of white nationalism and white supremacy in the United States.
How would you describe the danger to public safety that is posed by white supremacist extremism? Is it changing in its qualities or in the kinds of resources that the FBI and other law enforcement agencies need to respond? And secondly, the second part of that question, your budget request does not mention white supremacist extremism at all. How much funding and how many employees are dedicated to investigating white nationalists and white supremacist extremists in your fiscal year 2020 budget? So what is the danger to the country and what do you need to fight it?
Well, the danger, I think, of white supremacist violent extremism or any other kind of violent extremism is, of course, significant. We assess that it's a persistent, pervasive threat. We tackle it both through our joint terrorism task forces on the domestic terrorism side, as well as through our civil rights program on the criminal side through hate crime enforcement. I think as to whether I would see any significant difference or trend there, I think, or whether it's changing, I think I would say in general, domestic terrorism in this country has changed in the sense that it's less structured, less organized, fewer groups, more uncoordinated one-off individuals as opposed to some structured hierarchy, and that presents its own share of challenges.
Now, you might say, well, Roland, what was the whole point of Candace Owens being the only black person there testifying on this issue? This 44-second soundbite in the end will really explain it.
Issues that they are responsible. Number one, father absence. Number two, the education system and the illiteracy rate. Illegal immigration ranks high. Abortion ranks high. White supremacy and white nationalism, if I had to make a list again of 100 things, would not be on it. This hearing, in my opinion, is a farce. And it is ironic that you're sitting here and you're having 3 Caucasian people testify and tell you what their expertise are. Do I know what my expertise are? Black in America. I've been black in America my whole life, all 30 years, and I can tell you that you guys have done the exact same thing every 4 years ahead of an election cycle, and it needs to stop.
Don't stay with it.
Now we go to Mr. Clay for 5.
No, go back. That right there explains why the Republicans wanted Candace Owens to testify. Because the Republicans on this committee don't want to deal with white nationalism or white supremacy. What they desired is to have a black woman who loves Trump to come to the hearing to bring up problems in black America, to negate white supremacy, to negate white nationalism, and that's why he has that look that was captured on his face. You need to understand game recognizes game. Now, earlier we had Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, a member of this committee, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, Congresswoman Robin Kelly, and others on the Democratic side, members of this committee. If you want to understand what really happened, okay, this happened before that took place. Jim Jordan came in late. They were upset because the members of Congress were actually ignoring clueless Candace. They were asking more questions of the actual experts. Here is Jim Jordan.
I did walk in a few minutes ago, and Mr. Meadows and I were visiting in the back room, and noticed that Ms. Owens, you hadn't spoke for a while. So if there's something you'd like to add to the discussion over the last few minutes, I'd be happy to yield my 4 minutes to you and let you comment. But thank you again for your outstanding testimony, for being here as our witness today.
Come back.
Thank you for that.
See, I don't need to play any more of Candace Owens. What did he just say? Mark Meadows and I got together in the back room. We were like, damn, ain't nobody asking her no questions. When is the last time y'all saw a member of Congress give their entire time to a witness? They get 5 minutes each. Gave his time to her. Meadows gave his time to her. Y'all need to understand the game here. But I'm going to go back and play something for you. This is what Clueless Candace said as to what she thinks are the most important issues that impact black people.
Number one, father absence. Number two, the education system and the illiteracy rate. Illegal immigration ranks high. Abortion ranks high. White supremacy and white nationalism, if I had to make a list again of 100 things, would not be on it. This hearing, in my opinion, is a farce.
So here's the real issue here. The real issue is that this House hearing on white nationalism and white supremacy was really only limited to the issue of terror. Because if you wanted a real discussion about white supremacy, then the very issue that Candace wants to bring up, white supremacy, plays a role in that. Just the other day, the University of Texas, a story was done by The Atlantic where they discovered in the archives of the University of Texas that they, by design, implemented standardized tests in the 1950s in order to keep black people out of the University of Texas. The president of the University of Texas literally said in a speech in Houston, the use of standardized tests was a way to keep the niggers out of the university. So, when a Candace Owens wants to talk about education and illiteracy, oh, we can have that conversation within the framework of white supremacy. They don't want to do that. If you want to talk about fathers not being in the home, I am more than happy in the year of the 400th anniversary of the first 29 Africans arriving on these shores to talk about the role that America, white supremacy, played in cutting babies out of the wombs of black mamas. If you want to talk about abortion, Candace, we can talk about America's abortion. If you want to talk about this whole issue of black fathers not being there, we can also bring up the studies that show that black men actually spend more time with their children than other races. If you want to talk about the issue of white supremacy on the impact of federal policy that gave more money to mothers who were in homes without fathers, because the policy then was that you only had one person bring in income and not the other, we can be more than willing to have that conversation. But see, that's a different level of white supremacy, because I don't think you really want to talk about that. She also mentioned, y'all, white supremacy and black-on-black crime. You want to talk about white supremacy and black-on-black crime? Sure. We can show you impacted areas in Chicago based upon federal housing guidelines that limited where black folks can live, where they could actually buy homes. And so all of a sudden you had in Chicago, west side of Chicago, south side of Chicago, black folks packed into areas. Same thing in Detroit and Houston and other places around the country. See, all those things were a result of white supremacy. And so if we want to have the real white supremacy conversation, you're right, it didn't happen on today's panel, but you also were not there, clueless Candace, to have that conversation. The reason I need y'all to understand this is because some of y'all might be saying, well, why are you giving her so much attention? Because I need to explain to y'all what the game is. And here is the game. The game is for white Republicans to put up a black face to attack and trash Democrats, including black Democrats, and then to say, oh, but the conservative agenda is really what's great for black people. So what happens is that shit-eating grin Jim Jordan had is because that's what it's all about. It's all about, I need you to use the right talking points that's going to push them back. Remember the point where she said, oh, how dares it you have 3 white experts and I'm the only black person here? Because you're not an expert. And in fact, I really don't have a problem if there are 3 white people there who are experts on white supremacy, because the operative word in white supremacy is white. So to have 3 white folks talk about white supremacy, I ain't got a problem with, because they're also white. Y'all, Republicans don't really want to talk about this stuff. What they want to do is offer a game of mirrors. This is a house of cards. And so what they have done is take a black woman who oh my goodness, she's articulate, she's cute, she can speak to the issues. Somebody hears her, oh my goodness, white conservatives go, she's so smart. I mean, look at her, she's feisty, she's giving it to them. But they really don't want to break these things down. Why is that? Because they prefer the show. Candace Owens only wants a show, which is why she wants to debate John Legend and debate Don Cheadle and debate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and debate Ilhan Omar. That's what she wants. She wants the attention. And that's what they actually gave her. Republicans did not want this to actually be a discussion on white supremacy and white nationalism and the impact. They don't want to have a discussion about Dylan Roof or the guy who went to the synagogue in Pittsburgh. They don't want to have a conversation about the white guy in El Paso. No, they would rather have a black woman who's not an expert, who's a college dropout, who loves to trash the NAACP, and then who, of course, got a $35,000 settlement from the Stanford, Connecticut School Board of Education because of insults that were hurled at her, which the NAACP actually helped her get. It's amazing how that happens. But again, if you want to understand game, I'm going to play this last soundbite for you, and it really is, for me, the most laughable of the day. This, folks, is a soundbite of a Republican in Congress, Congressman Keller, literally asking Candace Owens, what can I say to black people?
I'll be speaking at the NAACP Annual State Convention in Louisiana 1 week from tomorrow. Could be argued that I'm a quite unlikely keynote speaker at that gathering. But I shall deliver a candid and unscripted message from my heart and from bended knee as an American that recognizes that our nation has suffered a failure of spirit, that our nation is on a journey. I would ask you, Madam, in my remaining time, what message would you hope to hear me deliver to my brothers and sisters in Louisiana 1 week from tomorrow? An address which I believe should be reflective of our effort as a nation to bridge the divides that falsely separate us, to embrace the fact that we're created in God's own image. What message would you have me share, good lady? And I shall listen.
That's a beautiful question. I would say if I was in that audience, what I would want to hear is just a message of hope. I think that what's been taken away from Black America is our sense of pride. We've allowed rhetoric and policies to tether us to the government. And I love that you opened your statement talking about God and the family, because those are the things that we used to value first and foremost in the Black American community. And as government grew in the 1960s, all of that was pretty much taken away from us. I would remind them to consider who...
I'm done. How about this, Congressman Keller? When you go before the NAACP, I would love for you to explain to them in Louisiana, why is it that your party supports voter suppression? I would love for you to explain to the NAACP why the Trump administration is rolling back civil rights in various departments in this nation. I would love for you to explain why the Republican Party chooses to be the prostitute of the NRA and not know anything about gun control. I would love for you to speak to the issue of economics and why is it that the Republican Party and Donald Trump is trying to get rid of the National Minority Supplier Development Council, which has been around for 50 years, which is the only federal agency that deals with how to grow businesses among minorities. I would love for you to talk about those issues. I noticed Candace didn't bring those issues up. Why? Because those are things Republicans are doing. Folks, you need to realize that the purpose of a Candace Owens is to give cover to white conservatives who have been wanting to say these things about black people for a very long time. That's the game. In fact, I just saw a tweet from a person who's a white conservative out of Texas, and then pull it up, Taylor Ham, covers sports for Texas A&M, and they have a soundbite here where he goes, I think this qualifies as a mic drop, where she ripped into this person here who's on the panel. What I need y'all to understand is that is the game. It is about a money game. And I will tell you this again. In our community, we've always had black Republicans. They've always existed. 4 and 5 and generations of black Republicans. I have known Alphonso Jackson, former Secretary of HUD, Mike Williams, who prosecuted white supremacists when he was in the Department of Justice. I know folks like Michael Steele. I named so many others, but there's a reason why they will not bring them to the fore. Because these are black people who actually work with black people. Candace does it. She wants a celebrity. And so when she's on the stage with T.I., on the stage with Killer Mike, that's exactly what she wants. Because it's about entertainment. It's the show. It's about securing the bag. There are black Republicans out there who actually care about black people. And we have a difference of opinion when it comes to political party. We might have a difference of opinion when it comes to what policies. But what I can say is I have respect for them because they actually care. And even if we disagree on certain issues, we agree on others. Game recognizes game. So today really wasn't about Candace. It was really about the embarrassment of the Republican Party, unwilling to deal with an issue like white supremacy and white nationalism. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, November 7th through 11th, we're going to be in Los Cabos, Mexico for the Luxe Jazz, the second annual Luxe Jazz experience. It's going to be phenomenal. We're going to have, of course, great music over 4 days, golf and spa. We're going to sit here and, man, you talk about food, you talk about libations, also known as liquor. It's going to be loads of fun. So while people are freezing in the Northeast, let's go hang out in Mexico. I'm going to be doing Roland Martin Unfiltered from there that Thursday and Friday in front of a studio audience. Y'all can all come join us. So come hang out with me and so many others. It's going to be absolutely great, of course. We're going to be at Day Club Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez. They're in Los Cabos. The great people we got lined up for you, folks. Amazing. Of course, comedian and actor Mark Curry. Of course, Gerald Albright, my frat brother, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madan, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band. We're going to have the gospel experience with Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, Ernest Quarles. Some new hotels have opened up. For more information, go to lifeluxejazz.com. That's lifeluxejazz.com, lifeluxejazz.com. You want to book it now, of course, to get your package, but also you want to have much cheaper airfare as well. And so, trust me, it's going to be an absolute fun time. I cannot wait to go, and trust me, you want to do it as well. lifeluxejazz.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.